segment, we will go back and look at the other history between Ghana and the United States. Now, we have not understood why that happens. We can't fathom why it happens. But really, since 1992, by some strange design, anytime we go to the polls, and we go to the polls a month behind the Americans, 1992 was in November, around the same time with them. But since then, it's been legislated at 7th December. And they always go in the first Tuesday in November. So they go in some dates in November. We go on 7th December, since 1992. Every time the Americans have voted a particular direction, we have voted in the same way. It's unfortunate. I don't know whether it's unfortunate, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But this is the situation. And you can hear on the radio in the morning, before the elections, Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, the NDC candidate, the NDC General Secretary, sorry, is not a candidate, claiming Hillary Clinton in a voice that's now gone viral, everyone talking about it, dumping Donald Trump on the New Patriotic Party. The Vice President apparently did the same thing. They didn't know that later on, 24 hours later, Mr. Trump would actually be the elected candidate for the United States, and it will not be Mrs. Clinton. But those of you who are hearing for the first time, we'd like to show you video evidence. As we're looking at this matter, all my colleagues and I earlier today, we found that this relationship goes back, way back, further back into time. 1960, the Americans elected John F. Kennedy, one of the famous heads of state of the United States. He was a Democrat. The Ghanaians elected Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He was a left-wing politician, social democrat, if you like. 1964, the Americans elected Lyndon Johnson, Democrat. The Ghanaians elected Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. 1969, the Americans elected Richard Nixon, Republican. The Ghanaians elected Prime Minister Kofi Abrefa-Buzia, right-wing politician. Let's see the videos now just to confirm these matters, and then we'll come quickly and look at from the 1992. Those of you who have not seen it will see it. Then we'll end at 2016. We don't want any trouble. We don't know what will happen. All we're saying is that historically, this is where things have gone. John Dramani Mahama has the opportunity to change it at this time. 1960, John F. Kennedy, 1960.
Mr. Eisenhower and Mr. Nixon are present at the conclusion to one of the best managed transitions of power on record. Despite sub-freezing temperatures, hundreds of thousands watched the ceremonies in front of the Capitol.
And I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
And let every other power know that this hemisphere intends to remain the master of its own house.
About a half hour behind schedule, the official party lunches in the Capitol, where the others chat as Mr. Kennedy's meal is interrupted to sign the papers formally nominating his cabinet.
I, Kwame Nkrumah, do solemnly swear that I will well and truly exercise the functions of the high office of President of Ghana, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to Ghana, that I will preserve and defend the Constitution, and that I will do right to all manner of people according to law, without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. So help me God.
That was as late as 1960. We'll gloss over 1970, but we'll show you something. So that was Kwame Nkrumah and John F. Kennedy in 1960. Ghana and America doing the same thing. Fast forward 4 years later, the Americans voted for Lyndon Johnson. Now, Lyndon Johnson was the vice president of John F. Kennedy, and Mr. Johnson naturally succeeded Mr. Kennedy when, unfortunately, John Kennedy was assassinated. Here is Lyndon Johnson. He was one of the fierce presidents of the United States of America. Very tall, huge man. and he was rumored to intimidate his ministers quite a bit. He was rumored to intimidate people around the White House quite a bit. You can see his fiery-looking face there. But Lyndon Johnson served America well, and they do remember him for sustaining the country, the security of the country when John F. Kennedy died. He was vice president. He succeeded him, and then he ran for elections himself in 1964, and Mr. Johnson was elected president. In 1964 also, there was an election in Ghana. It was an election that was not a great election because it was an election to determine that Ghana should become a one-party state under the CPP with Kwame Nkrumah as the president. A sort of referendum was held on Dr. Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and he won. He won the election massively by a wide vote, and that's what triggered all the confusion. Let's fast forward to 1969. The Americans went through another process. Richard Nixon, who had been beaten in the 1960 elections by John F. Kennedy, tried to compete for the election. Now, this is interesting because in 1960, Prime Minister Kofi Abrefa-Busia had been beaten by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. JFK had beaten Nixon in 60. Nkrumah had beaten Busia in 60. In 1969, Nixon, who had been beaten by JFK, was now running for elections again. Busia, who had been beaten by Nkrumah, was running for elections again. Let's see what happened first in the United States. Both of them are right-wing politicians, Republican and Progress Party.
I, Richard Billhouse Nixon, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute the office
of President of the United States,
President of the United States, preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Progress! Progress! Progress!
We present to you Dr. Kofi Abrefa-Busia, by the grace of God, Prime Minister of the Second Republic of Ghana, and request all manner of persons to recognize and acknowledge him as such.
Yes, people are sending us a message congratulating us for history and congratulating us for explaining the American political process. But that was 1969. So tonight, we have added two more electoral similarities between Ghana and the United States. Not just 1992, but it's fascinating, isn't it? This is the account of the history. We haven't created it. This is the account of the history. Okay.